The November tests are getting close, but just to tide us over until they arrive, let's continue the player power rankings with the best scrum halves on the planet. And this is something I do position by position, 1 to 15, top 10, tracking the rise and fall of the greats of the game and celebrating the awesome players on planet Earth by taking into account their recent form, so the rugby we've seen in 2025, their historic form, the whole body of work of a player, and a little bit of opinion and gut feeling going on in there as well. And that's where the fun is, and that's where you need to get stuck in. Let me know what you think in the chat, and give the video a thumbs up and hit subscribe. This is what the top 10 scrum halves looked like last time. But no surprise, I don't think, to see Antoine Dupont at number 1 from Jamison Gibson Park. Nice to see some tier 2 representation in the form of Santi Arata. Last time out, I just think he's an absolutely wonderful player. As is Cam Roygard, the youngest on that list, along with Nolan Le Garrec. Actually, I think Le Garrec's slightly younger. 3 Frenchmen, 2 South Africans, an Irishman, a Uruguayan, a New Zealander, an Englishman, and a Scotsman. How does it look now? A little chunk of time on. Well, at number 10, Thomas Williams, who in a poor Welsh team has been absolutely fantastic. He wasn't part of the Welsh team that won that game in Japan, their first in a long time, because he was with he should have been with the British and Irish Lions. Of course, injury meant that he wasn't able to take any part in that beyond the Argentina game that he played, but would have surely had at least one test cap with the Lions to his name. You would think a critical part of the Welsh team going forward. He played in all 5 games in the Six Nations and was excellent in a poor team. And a scrum half that can play well behind a pack that is getting overpowered and bullied speaks to the talent of Thomas Williams. It's so much easier to do your job as a scrum half when you're behind a dominant pack. Thomas Williams did not have that luxury and still performed really, really well. He's back in the top 10 and moving up as well. Cobus Reinach. Now, he was number 9 last time, stays number 9. 3 starts in the Rugby Championship. Man of the match in the final game against Argentina. He was superb in those big games at the end of the tournament. And, I mean, I think there's an argument that you would find in certain positions South African players higher up the list if it weren't for the kind of rotation policy of Rassie Erasmus. And I really like that about the way South Africa approach their rugby. They're willing to risk losing games in order to fulfill the bigger dream of the three-peat, and they're willing to rotate and change and give people match time and exposure and give combinations time to bed in order to achieve the ultimate aim. Consequently, Cobus Reinach might feel unlucky to be only at number 9, but then again, he only made 3 starts in the Rugby Championship. He was very good where he did. And you would never know this guy's 35. He's still got the speed, and the combination of Reinach and Sasha FM for the Stormers and for South Africa, I think could still go through to 2027. We'll see. One man who will definitely, if he's fit, be there in 2027 will be Grant Williams. He's 29 now. Only 24 caps to his name, if that stat I read is correct. That surprised me, but again, it speaks to the amount of rotation and different combinations that South Africa have used. Of course, Faf de Klerk's been on the scene, Morne van den Berg. It seems like Williams and Reinach in the Rugby Championship, they were the only 2 that we used. 1 on the bench, 1 starting. And Grant Williams started the first 3 games of the Rugby Championship. The Boks lost 2 of those 3 games. Grant Williams really, again, express pace is so useful. And if they ever do go back to a 7-1 split, that remains to be seen. Grant Williams is one of those players that allows that to happen. He stays at number 8 as well. From number 7, down a few spots, Santiago Arata. The first player from a Tier 2 nation, or so-called Tier 2 nation, that's appeared on the Player Power Ranking series this time round. Rightly so. He is such a class player. If he was, name your nationality. Most nationalities on the planet, save for a couple, if he was that nationality, he would be starting for that international team. He is so good. He has not played a lot of international rugby. That's why he drops down quite a lot. Remember, it's on form in 2025, but it's also on historic form. And his performances at World Cups, again, in poor teams, he has been incredible. He's had 2 games this year for Uruguay, both against Chile. He played all but 9 minutes of those games, scored a try, was talismanic in Uruguay, winning both of those games. He also played in the Barbarians, came off the bench in Cape Town as well. What a player. I'm so glad to have Santi Arata still on the list, although dropping down and jumping ahead of him, Ben White. who has been outstanding. Eventually got on the Lions tour. I think the fact that he plays in France might have been the reason why he didn't initially get on the tour, because I actually thought his performances in the Six Nations merited it. He had 5 Six Nations starts for Scotland, 3 tries, some really important ones for them. He was one of Scotland's best performers, one of the Six Nations' best performers. And yeah, I mean, he's 27, so he's got a lot of rugby ahead of him. And rightly so, Ben White got some time with the British and Irish Lions squad, although he didn't get a test cap to his name. So that is the bottom 5 out of the top 10. Let's get into the top 5 then. And Maxime Lucu is moving up. Another player that were any number of other nationalities, he would get so much more international rugby. He just happens to be French, where they have got the most outrageous stable of scrum halves. The talent at scrum half for France is just, it's unbelievable. I think it might be the strongest. Maybe South African locks and French scrum halves are the 2 most stacked positions in world rugby of any nation. But Maxime Lucu, in that moment where Antoine Dupont went down, 25, 30 minutes into the game against Ireland, to come on and boss the game and help Les Bleus pull off a famous win in Dublin, he was sensational. And then against Scotland the following week, he's only got 30 caps to his name. He's 32 years of age, but he's a really, really important man in that French squad. And I'm sure a lot of importance will be placed upon Maxime Lucu over this next month ahead. So he may well be moving further up this list. We will wait and see. Number 4, also moving up, Alex Mitchell, who solved a massive problem for England in that number 9 jersey, made the jersey his own, 23 caps now. He's also got, he was involved in 3 Lions test matchday squads. He's got Lions caps to his name. He didn't play that many minutes in the actual test matches, but he played a part in the matchday squad of every single game on the entire British and Irish Lions tour, which was quite something. And for England, absolutely superb. Rightly so, moving up as well. Cam Roigard, as another player moving up into the top 3 as well. He had some injuries. He came back for those test matches against France in New Zealand. Played in both of those. Played about 75 minutes in both games. Scored tries for fun. Same goes against the final 2 games of the Rugby Championship. He started those, played most of the match, nearly all of it, in fact. 3 tries in 4 test matches. Had he been fit the whole year, he might be higher up this list even. And he's 24, so he is going to be he is moving north. He's the youngest on this list comfortably, and has a very, very, very high ceiling. Jamison Gibson-Park is kind of at the other end of his career. What's he, 33 now? How much longer can he keep going? The pace that he gets the ball away from contact and from that contact area, the great decisions that he makes. And I think when you look at how good Jamison Gibson-Park is, you only have to look at the number of minutes that he plays in games. Because for Ireland, Craig Casey is a fantastic backup and someone that surely will be on this top 10 list at some point in the future, will Craig Casey. But Jamison Gibson-Park in the Six Nations played 74 minutes, 78 minutes, 68 minutes, 68 minutes. So it goes on. And it was the same in the British and Irish Lions series, 71 minutes, 74 minutes. He's so good. And there is a drop-off from Jamison Gibson-Park to whoever comes on. And he is so important to the way that whatever team he plays in, he is so important to how that team operates. He is such a crucial playmaking general out on the field. He is very much in the mould of a petit général of France, which brings us to the undisputed number 1. He has never been any other position in the player power rankings than number 1 since I've been doing it. And that is despite playing only, 3 and a bit games of the Six Nations and being injured for the rest of the year with an ACL injury, which should see him come back by the end of the year, maybe certainly in international rugby in time for the Six Nations, which will be great to see. It's just a shame he's missing out on those big games against Australia and South Africa this month, particularly the game in Paris against the Boks. I'm sure Bok fans would want the strongest possible French team. Maxime Lucu is very good, but he is not Antoine Dupont. There is no other scrum half that comes near, in my humble opinion, to Antoine Dupont. And I said this of Pieter-Steph du Toit, I will say it of Antoine Dupont, because I mean this absolutely sincerely. Pieter-Steph du Toit is the best forward I've ever seen play in the flesh. Antoine Dupont is the best back I've ever seen play in the flesh. And I'd have to go one further and say the best rugby player I've ever seen in the flesh. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of a GOAT discussion. That's pointless. I just feel very, very privileged to be alive at a time when I can watch this guy operate out there on the field. And I have watched him play in a lot of games. And I have been never anything other than mesmerised by just how good he is. And despite only playing 3 and a bit games in the Six Nations, he was in the team of the tournament. I think that speaks volumes. He can play in 3 matches out of 5 and still be the best scrum half in the competition. And, I mean, when you look at players that aren't on this top 10 list, Jake Gordon and Tate McDermott, I think, have been really good for Australia. Particularly Tate McDermott, his impact off the bench has been exceptional, so he should be looking to get in. Nolan Legarrec drops off it because he's not played a lot of international rugby. But France, when you think Baptiste Seran, he'd be starting for most national teams if he was another nationality. Baptiste Jeannot, Baptiste Couillou. France have got 6 and more. You got Carbonneau as well, starting to do his thing in the top 14. It's ridiculous how many good scrum halves they've got. But I'd imagine seeing those Australians starting to challenge. And we'll see how it goes in November, shall we? See if there's any change after that. Let me know what you think. This is the top 10, just to wrap it up. Dupont from the rest, quite a big gap from number 1 to number 2. Quite a little bit of a gap, not as big a gap from number 2 to number 3. And then I do think there is a gap again from those top 3 to the rest, where it is a bit of a bun fight, and whoever gets more rugby or more opportunity to show what they're about could be fighting over spots from 4 downwards, probably 4 to about 15, to be perfectly honest. But there's my 10. Let me know what you think. Really hard one to pick, that one. But on we go to fly-offs next. I'll see you on the next one. Hit subscribe so you don't miss any of these videos.